The grocery store was loud with the ordinary sounds of a Saturday afternoon. Shopping carts rattled across polished floors. Children begged for candy near the checkout lanes. Cashiers called out prices while exhausted parents glanced at their watches, hoping to finish before dinner. At the very end of aisle 7, a single father stood, comparing cereal boxes with the serious concentration of a man trying to stretch every dollar without letting his daughter notice. His name was Noah Carter, 36 years old, a high school history teacher, a widower. Everything that mattered in his world stood beside him holding a tiny shopping basket. Her name was Ellie. She was 7 years old. "Dad," she whispered, pointing toward the colorful cereal box. "Can we get this one?" Noah smiled. "Only if you promise to actually eat it." "I promise." "You promised that last time." She grinned. "I was younger." He laughed. "By 3 weeks." "Exactly." She slipped her small hand into his as they turned toward the next aisle. It had been 5 years since Ellie's mother, Hannah, died after a sudden illness. Some mornings still felt impossible. Some nights still ended with Noah, sitting alone on the back porch wearing the old silver wedding band around a chain beneath his shirt because taking it off had somehow felt more painful than leaving it there. The only tattoo he had ever gotten rested on the inside of his left wrist, a tiny compass, simple, black ink. Inside the compass were 2 initials, N and H. Hannah had the exact same tattoo. They had gotten them together on their first wedding anniversary after promising that no matter where life carried them, they would always find their way home. Noah never covered it. Not because it didn't hurt to see, because forgetting would hurt more. As they reached the dairy section, something unexpected happened. 6 little girls rounded the corner pushing a shopping cart almost as big as they were. They couldn't have been older than 8. The oldest suddenly stopped walking. She stared directly at Noah's wrist. Her eyes grew wide. She grabbed the arm of the girl beside her. "Look." All 6 girls looked at the tattoo, one after another. Then, almost together, they said the words that made Noah's heart stop. "Our mom has a tattoo just like yours." Time seemed to disappear. Noah looked from one child to another. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "What did you say?" The smallest girl pointed at his wrist. "Our mommy has that. The same one." The little compass. "And the letters." Noah felt the air leave his lungs. His voice barely worked. "Exactly the same?" The oldest nodded confidently. "Exactly." Ellie looked up at her father. "Daddy?" He couldn't answer, because Hannah had designed that tattoo herself. The artist had told them he'd never made another exactly like it. It wasn't something sold from a book. It belonged only to them. Or at least, that was what Noah had believed for the last 15 years. A gentle voice interrupted the silence. "Girls!" A woman pushed another shopping cart around the corner. She wore simple jeans, a gray sweater, and comfortable sneakers. There was nothing remarkable about her appearance except one thing. She looked exhausted. Not unhappy, just wonderfully, beautifully exhausted in the way only mothers, carrying the weight of many children often do. The 6 girls immediately crowded around her. "Mom! This man has your tattoo!" She looked confused. "My tattoo?" Then her eyes followed their pointing fingers. She noticed Noah's wrist. For one long moment, she didn't move. Then, without saying a word, she slowly pulled back the sleeve of her sweater. On the inside of her wrist was the same tiny compass. Noah stared. The design matched almost perfectly, except instead of the initials N and H, there were 6 tiny stars surrounding the compass. 1 star for each daughter. The woman smiled gently. "I knew one day I'd meet someone who had the original." Noah blinked. "I'm sorry." "I don't understand." "My name is Grace." She offered her hand. "I never met your wife, but I know who designed that tattoo." Noah's heart pounded. "How?" Grace reached carefully into her purse. She removed an old leather notebook wrapped carefully inside a cloth cover. The edges were worn, the pages yellow with age. "My older sister volunteered at the children's hospital where your wife spent weekends teaching art." Noah felt tears beginning to form. "Hannah?" Grace nodded. "Yes. She left behind sketchbooks full of little drawings." She opened the notebook carefully. Inside were dozens of hand-drawn compass designs. Flowers, mountains, tiny hearts. And on one page, the exact compass tattoo Noah carried every day. Below it, written in Hannah's handwriting, were simple words. Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's the people who help you keep going. Grace smiled through tears. My sister was diagnosed with cancer when she was 19. Hannah spent hours sitting beside her. They talked about fear. They talked about hope. They even talked about tattoos. My sister survived. Years later, when my husband and I adopted our daughters, she gave me this sketch. Grace gently touched the tattoo on her wrist. I added 6 stars. So I'd remember that love grows. Noah couldn't speak. Ellie quietly stepped beside Grace. Did my mommy really draw that? Grace nodded. She drew hope for a lot of people. The 6 little girls looked at Ellie. One of them smiled. Your mommy helped our mommy. Ellie smiled back. My daddy says mom helped everyone. Noah finally found his voice. No, he whispered, looking at the notebook. I think she still is. For the first time in years, the tattoo on his wrist no longer reminded him only of what he had lost. It reminded him of everything Hannah had quietly left behind in people she never expected to meet again.